Hi everyone. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what the Enlightenment is. That might be helpful as you're reading some of the introductory literature, have something to frame or focus on. You'll notice on the screen in front of you a core idea of human reason as being so important to the Enlightenment. Enlightenment thinkers distinguished humans by the particular faculty of reason. Unlike animals, humans had the capacity to think through relationships and between objects and events. According to Enlightenment thinkers, they could establish cause and effect and follow logical arguments. A second concept, freedom, was an important word for the period. Freedom to use one's own reason against traditional authorities, and the new science of economics tended toward a free market to produce wealth. That also as a core concept and a notion of freedom. The age also spawned a sense of European superiority, leading to problems with racism and slavery at the advent of progress. The next screen shows you a picture of Samuel Johnson. Samuel Johnson was British, and he is credited as a pinnacle Enlightenment thinker with producing the first dictionary of the English language, which was published in 1755. Kant, the speaker I mentioned a moment ago, the German philosopher, he spent most of his life in Königsberg in Prussia. He wrote the piece, What is Enlightenment?, in response to a monthly magazine's question. In his essay, he argues that people have followed the opinions of authorities rather than seeing the truth for themselves, and he adopts the motto for human beings to dare to know. The term tutelage, which Kant defines as man's inability to make use of his understanding without direction from another, is the main problem in his mind blocking man from enlightenment. And that is caused, according to Kant, by his laziness and cowardice. The next image, René Descartes, a Frenchman. Descartes' Discourse on Method was an important Enlightenment text in which he asks how it is possible for human beings to know anything at all. This work explores the critical and rational methods that humans use to arrive at knowledge. He begins by stating that nothing is grounded in certainty other than what he himself is thinking. From this, he asserts that he exists precisely because he is thinking, which also proves that the mind is separate from the body and physical experience. It is likely you have heard Descartes' statement, I think, therefore I am, used in a variety of contexts, actually, but this discourse on method is the origin of where that phrase occurred. Another important Enlightenment thinker was Diderot. On the screen before you, you see a passage that is taken from Diderot's encyclopedia, which includes more than 70,000 entries, starting with asparagus and ending with zodiac. If you think about it, what a marvelous undertaking of the time to create an encyclopedia of common knowledge for those people Kant referred to who need instructions from their betters. This encyclopedia was written in French rather than Latin, intended to be accessible to a wide audience, and marked a break with established knowledge and religious authority. The figures in the center represent truth, surrounded by bright light, the central symbol of the Enlightenment, with reason and philosophy on the right, tearing the veil from truth. A Scottish philosopher, James Beattie, was another important thinker of the time. He attempted to refute David Hume's thinking for his beliefs about racial superiority and the so-called legitimate practice of slavery. Another person mentioned in your text is Mary Wollstonecraft. Wollstonecraft is credited with being the founder of modern feminism and author of the ever-important Vindication of the Rights of Woman. Wollstonecraft made the case that women had as much right to freedom and authority as men did because they too had been given the faculty to reason by God. The final slide before you shows someone of whom you may have heard, the Marquis de Sade. The Marquis de Sade was a French aristocrat whose appetite for violence and cruelty, from which the word sadism comes, are, he argues, a reflection of the violence to which he was exposed during the revolutionary period in France. The writer argued that God must be cruel and malicious, and therefore humans have the natural right to act cruelly as they choose. This has been just a little overview of some of the important people of the Enlightenment. I hope it sort of helps you keep some of the thoughts that you're reading about in context, and stay tuned next time for just a little snippet on Molaire's Tartuffe.